Good morning, Zio here, and a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Miyamoto. It rings true for most cases, sometimes not so much, but, you know, for most cases, that's a good thing to follow. So let's get into it, shall we? Ancestry, the Humankind Odyssey. It's a game that came out August 27th, 2019, and it has come out to pretty mixed reviews. It's got a 64 on Metacritic, a user score of 5.5 at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, why are we talking about this exactly? Well, we're not really talking about the game too much in question. It's more of the developer behind it. Desilets, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Patrice Desilets or something like that. Gosh, I'm going to have to actually look at it. Yeah, Patrice Desilets. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's not exactly English. So bear with me. But anyway, he's got quite the ego on him. If you don't know who that is, maybe you know the Assassin's Creed games up to like Brotherhood or something, where he was working on those. It was gosh, I can't remember, lead developer, something like that. Doesn't matter. Point is, he worked on Assassin's Creed, and he's a well-known name in the industry. He's one of those people who have done really good work in the past, right? And he branched off at some point in time, created his own studio, similar to what Kojima is doing, except for Kojima seems like he was just pushed out, didn't go out on his own, but yeah, that's whatever. Somebody wants to make pachinko machines, whatever, that's fine. Anyway, but no, he went off on his own, did his own little thing, created his own studio. He's now an indie dev, making his own thing, making his own way, and this is their game, right? They're about 30 some people strong, which is a small development team. And we've seen good things come out of small development teams in the past. Like I want to say Morrowind, with all its faults and stuff, had a very small team back then, and it was a good game, minus, all the glitches and everything else. But, there are good games that come out with small teams regardless, and this one didn't score so well. It was kind of mixed, and Desilets is, let's just say he's got an ego upon him that, wow. But right here is the Metacritics, of course. Normally I don't use things like reviews of Metacritics and stuff for various reasons. However, this game is an Epic exclusive, which means there are no reviews of it from people that we know that we can verifiably know played the game, which is one of the good things about Steam. You can see how much somebody has actually played that game. It will say they've played 176 hours. They played 30 minutes or less than an hour or whatever it is. When you look at their reviews and, look at their profiles and things like that, it's tracked, so you can tell whether or not somebody has really played that game or not. Unfortunately, because Epic doesn't do that, you really just don't know if somebody has actually played the game. However, looking at a lot of these reviews, because there are several positive reviews as well as the mixed reviews. I mean, you look at this right now, if you're just looking at it from here, these numbers are apparently somewhat of a lie. You actually have to go over to the user review page to get the more accurate number here. But we're looking at about 85 positive with a 24 mixed and 82 that are negative at this particular moment, which is a far cry from, what it's saying over on this side with a 34 and a 29 and 7. As for the critic reviews, I think those are pretty much standard. They're still the same over here. 28, 37 with 5 negative. And all these reviews, the mixed ones and a lot of the negative ones kind of all have the same feel to it, that the game is great. The game is innovative, it's different, it's new. However, it's not got enough depth to it, which happens a lot. There's plenty of games out there that I personally enjoyed messing with and playing with. It's just, there's not enough there. I feel like, after you've spent the first 30 minutes or an hour or so on the game, maybe 2 hours, that's it. You've experienced the entire game at that point, which is a bummer because, it's like, I want to continue going down this road, or I want to continue doing this, but there's nothing there. That's the end of the tech tree, or the end of this and that. I wish there was more to it, which is always a down. It's a downer. I hate doing that. I hate it when it happens, and there's far too many games out there who explore something or, get on something that's pretty decent that I enjoy a lot of, but they just don't have the depth behind them. To officially make this game something that I would continue to play. I may pick it up again for another 30 minutes, 3 weeks down the road or something, but other than that, there's not a whole lot there. And this, unfortunately, just seems to be one of those things. Another thing, of course, is the game doesn't apparently tell you a whole lot, right? It doesn't really give you anything in a tutorial. And one of the things when it comes to good game design is how to explain things to the player, whether you actually physically explain it via text box or something, or you explain it by forcing them to do. Like the first level in Mega Man X teaches you a ton of things that you need to know, that you without actually physically coming out and explaining it. Teaches you to climb up the wall, teaches you how to, shoot your blaster, do your jumps, and all this other stuff without physically telling you, hey, press A to jump, or you can climb the walls if you push yourself next to it and press A, and things like that. But of course, with a more in-depth game, text boxes are greatly appreciated, and apparently that is one of the things that Desilets says that they did cut was like 70 some different tutorial prompts, which is where I started this video with that quote from Miyamoto. If you have to cut something, do you cut the thing that teaches people to play and enjoy the game, or do you cut something else? I probably wouldn't cut tutorial prompts, just saying. Especially if it means that people are going to go into this game completely blind, not knowing what anything is, or what does what, or how to do this, that, and the other. And then they give it a bad score because they can't figure it out, because you couldn't be bothered to give them a tutorial prompt to say, hey, did you know you can craft a pickaxe if you did this? This isn't Minecraft. Sorry. But in this day and age, you've got to help out the people a little bit. You don't have to hold their hand. I hate holding hand type things. So, leaving things that are more advanced and stuff to be found out by people. So that's totally fine. But the basics you probably should tell people how to do. Press spacebar to jump, people. I mean, it's not hard to figure out. However, there are some people who need that read out to them real quick, or told to them, or something like that. So it's probably one of the things I wouldn't leave on the cutting room floor. But we're talking about the ego of the man, of course. Desilets, Patrice Desilets, creator of the ancestors of Human Odyssey, claims that some reviewers didn't play the game at all, and even intentionally even invented non-existent features. And that's where everybody was definitely looking for. It's like, what are you talking about? We've scoured the Metacritic scores. We can't find mentions of horses anywhere except for one, review saying, oh, I found some horses. That was cool. But not, anything else to what he describes. But we'll get to that because it did get found. I think it got found shortly after or shortly before I got off work, and I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, dang it, I wanted to find that, but never mind. Somebody else did it for me. But anyway, Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey has a metric score of 65, which is described as the elephant in the room during a post-mortem of his monkey game. Really? Who wrote that? Anyway, there was an interview, right? And I believe this is probably more close to the interview. But yeah, he does say, there's an elephant in the room, and he's talking about the metric scores, right? He says things that are just, wow. He got some ego on you because he worked so much on the Assassin's Creed games and stuff. And, when you branch off on your own, people do expect something decent from you. When you got a small team, they expect something okay from you, but they don't expect, game of the year kind of things out of you on your first venture by yourself with no funding. People didn't really expect that from Kojima. And Kojima still made a pretty good game. It was different. It was innovative. It had things in it that were it just wasn't the standard that we're used to these days. And it's a pretty good game. Just saying. People weren't expecting the world from you. But we know for a fact, and I'm trying to smile when I say that some reviewers actually didn't play the game. But we know for a fact that that's true. Actually, we don't know anything. We have no idea. You know why? Because she went Epic exclusive. We have no idea if the IGN account on Epic or whatever, or whoever it is, actually played the game or not, because, well, it went Epic instead of going, multi systems. Multi-systems. Instead of, releasing on, GOG or whatever it's called, G2G and Steam and Epic and whatever else, you just went Epic exclusive, and that's how we don't know. So, which is another bad thing, because now this is going to be something that can be looked at other developers who fell on the Epic store, and we're like, well, we know for a fact that nobody really played our game, and we can't really prove it, but we say we know for a fact that nobody played our game, and they gave us a bad score, granted, if it was on Steam, we could see actually how long these people played, but it's not, so believe us. That would suck. I'm surprised I'm not seeing more of that yet, but you never know with some of these people. They gotta have excuses for everything. But it's part of our industry that have to review a game, and they have 15 of them to review in 1 week, and sometimes they don't have the time. I'm gonna go and say this is hyperbolic. There ain't no way that places go, hey, look, here's 15 games, review them all within the next 7 days or 5 days. Come on. You can't do a comprehensive review of a game, at least 15 games, in 5 days like that. There's just no way it's happening. And we know for a fact that a lot of these places have large teams. Like IGN and Kotaku and things like that. And they have this horrible way of never actually getting people who know anything about a game to actually review a game. And we can pick apart the reviews, some other time, because we've done it in the past. Like the infamous Too Much Water review on a Pokemon game that is a remake of an original game that brings even more to the table than its original counterpart. But it gets a lower score because of too much water? Really? That's what we're gonna go with? Okay. Or, the Guitar Hero reviewer who admits in the review that he couldn't be bothered to play the game because he was too busy talking about Filipino politics or whatever with somebody else, and quite frankly, he just doesn't care about it. And that was his whole point to being there, was to go see the game and do a small review over what he was shown as a demo and stuff. So, yeah. This 15 thing, There ain't no way. He's got to be being just hyperbolic at that point. Plus, I don't think there are 15 games that come out every week. I mean, granted, we do have a lot of indie developers and stuff like that, you know, or indie games coming out and stuff, and a lot of shovelware and, you know, what is it, asset flips and things like that on Steam that come out and stuff every month or whatnot, but I don't think most of those games are ever actually reviewed by anyone, to be totally honest. I just don't see 15 games a week every week, because wow, especially when they have a news team or whatever that they can delegate these things off. Even if 15 games came out 1 week at a time, there's usually enough people to delegate a game per person or whatever somewhere there. And they get outside help as well. So, you know, because I've seen that happen where you bring in the freelancer to review something. Anyway. But I know for a fact that some just invented elements in the game, just like there is no fire. You cannot ride any horses in game. But some reviewers said it was that great it wasn't that great when you ride horses. Fair enough. By the way, somebody apparently did say that. There were 2 outlets, by the way. Two out of hundreds of people who went ahead and reviewed this. 2 got it wrong horribly. That's bad. It's almost as if they copied and pasted each other's review. One of them did the review, and the other one, I guess, somewhat copied and pasted. I can't find the other one. But I did see it. I just can't find it now this morning because I don't know. I'm not awake yet. But we received more than 175 reviews, but we received a metric score of 65, and I'm used to having bigger numbers than that. And that one there, that one's the ego trip. Big ego trip. It's like, look, damn it. I get big numbers. This isn't right. I'm better than this. I get larger numbers than that. I'm getting 80s. I'm getting 90s. That's what I do. How dare you give me a 65? Come on, dude. Seriously, this doesn't look good for you at all. Instead of taking the criticism and going, look, okay, we see what we've done wrong, and we're going to fix it. Yeah, I mean, they're already going to fix part of it for the console when it comes to, what is it? The tutorial things. Yeah, right here. We shipped the game, and we left 72 pop-up tutorial messages on the floor. Why would you do that? Again, teach people to play your game. Don't leave it on the cutting room floor. Otherwise, they won't know what they're doing. We couldn't do it. They are coming now for the console versions. They will be in. It will be easier. But we didn't have time. We needed to eventually say, at the end of the day, that you have to ship, and that's more important than anything else. And that is why I quoted Miyamoto earlier. No, it's not. No. A delayed game will eventually become good, but a rushed game is forever bad. When you go on the mindset that we need to ship, we need to go out the door right now. I don't care if you're not done with the tutorial. It needs to go right now. That tutorial could sink your entire game. That's the problem. Instead of delaying it a day, or a week, or 2 weeks, or half a year, you shipped it anyway. And now this game will forever be bad as a result. People are going to not look at it. They're not going to touch it. Like, that game is horrible. Don't waste your money. If it goes on sale for $5, sure, maybe I'll drop $5 or whatever on it, and it'd be like, okay, that's not big. No biggie. You know, it's like me buying some shovelware for the Wii or something back in the day. You know, I'll play it for 30 minutes, get my fill out of it, put it down, never touch it again. You get $5, whatever. But, you know, other people are going to go out there and it's like, don't waste your money. Game's too expensive, not worth it. There's nothing at the end. to do. It's got no depth. The game can't even be bothered to teach you how to play some of its more basic features because you felt like you rushed it out the door. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not you felt, you did. But anyway. But people expect my studio of 35 to ship a game that's really close to Assassin's Creed, and that's just not possible. We made some harsh decisions in order to ship the game, and we wanted it to be different. Okay, first off, we already talked about that. Nobody's expecting you to be Assassin's Creed level with a small team, with no funding, or whatever funding you raised. No, nobody was ever doing that. But your harsh decisions... If this was one of your harsh decisions because, at the end of the day, you have to ship and that's more important than anything else, no offense, but you should put somebody else in charge and you need to not be in charge. I'm just saying, you may be great at your job. You may be able to make a great game, but you should not be in charge of whether or not it ships. At all. If that is your mindset on it. I'm sorry, but no. That's bad. But, who was it who did write the review about horses? That was GameSpot. Dun 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 dun. Anyway, no, apparently GameSpot and one other thing that I can't find because the name doesn't stick in my head because I guess, it's not one of those that you normally see or whatever. It's a smaller publication. But they do have this update. Because they did a video review, and it's not in writing, of course. But the episode of GameSpot After Dark contains a few incorrect statements regarding Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. Namely, players have the ability to ride horses and create fires, and that creatures other than apes evolve over time. Our reviewers came to these conclusions based on aspects of the game that suggest possibilities, but after further clarification from Private Division, we are now understanding these elements are not part of the game. GameSpot regrets this error. What? Okay, so if you're going to review a game, I don't know how to review a game. Done. Okay, we're done here. Let's go. All right. Have a good night. See you. No? Okay. We are a good 23 minutes or so into the video at this point, so we do need to wrap this up. We've gone on long enough. But, reviewing a game, if I was to review a game, I would probably play a certain portion of it, right? Depending on what kind of game it is, would depend on how far I go into it. Either I would play the thing in full and review the entire thing, or I would play, the first 3, 4, 5 hours or whatever and say, look, I played 5 hours of this. This is what I've seen so far. The graphics are X. The sound is X. The music is Y. The difficulty seems to be like this. The basics to the game. It has great mechanics so far. It's got this neat system that looks like it's going to be really promising with alchemy or something like that. This building thing, mechanic system looks great. The battle system works like this, and so on and so forth, up to the point that I stopped playing, of course. And I wouldn't make predictions on what the rest of the game would have because I didn't play it. I wouldn't sit there and be like, well, I've come to the realization that chances are you're going to be able to ride horses because I saw horses in the wild, and I haven't actually figured out how to make fire, but considering this is a game about evolution and fire seems to be sort of a basic thing that you could do, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the game, so I'm going to go ahead and say that, you can ride horses and build fires and all this other stuff because it's possible. I hadn't actually seen it yet, but it's possible. Don't do that. That is horrible for a game review. You should not be sitting there, making predictions on parts of the game you hadn't actually played. Review what you played, review the basic stuff like, the difficulty settings, the graphics, the music, the sound, all that good stuff. But don't make assumptions of what is in the game. Anyway, I think that's where we're going to leave it. We're at 25 or something like that. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.